So I think the idea of self-realization is, one of them. The idea of liberation from suffering is probably another idea that comes through Buddhism. Same in, for example, Hinduism. Moksha is the idea of liberation. So I think, between the idea of an expanded knowledge and consciousness, at the same time the ability to overcome human suffering by enlarging the self beyond the ordinary trappings of the egoic consciousness. So I think a lot of the early transpersonal psychologists picked up on that.
You said about gradation of enlightenment, right?
Yeah.
So what you said last about kind of definition, is it the last gradation?
I would consider, personally, I would think that self-realization is a very high degree. Because if it's fully attained, if a person is truly in touch with their soul, and the consciousness of their soul is at the forefront of their being. In integral yoga, there's a process called psychic transformation. And the soul or the self is called the psychic being. And one of the goals of integral yoga, at least in part, is to activate this self-consciousness, this soul consciousness, and kind of bring it out. And let it interact with the outer consciousness, our ordinary personality. And through this interaction, there will be transformation. And eventually, wholeness of personality can be attained. A sense of complete selfhood, if you will, because egoic consciousness is often described as either partial or limited or divisive, or in many ways it's a limited form of consciousness, whereas the self could be seen as either a transcendent personal level, which is the soul, or it could be seen as the impersonal transcendent, which is the universe or the cosmic. Aurobindo talks about these three levels of the cosmic, which is totally transcendent to the universe. Universal, which means reaching as far as possible within the world of creation, a manifestation. And then also there's the personal dimension. So these three, experiences of selfhood, I think are...
Tell me again, three.
Sure. One would be the ordinary sense of selfhood.
Okay.
A personal self.
Personal self.
And there's this idea of a universal self, which means an expansion of this personal self into all relations and all manifestation. And then the transcendental self, or the cosmic self, if you will, that would be going beyond manifestation, going to the eternal, or to being with the capital B, the ground of existence. So I think in various philosophies, and if you look at different traditions, you more or less come across these three levels, and I think these are also at the core of integral yoga.
And enlightenment will be all three?
I think it can include all three levels, To me, the first fundamental level of enlightenment is when you reach a full connection with yourself in the sense of the soul. This is the personal, individualized consciousness which each of us somehow is connected with, and it's very unique to each of us. I may have a history in my soul that is different than every single person in the world, and in that sense we are each unique individuals. Then there's the sort of impersonal level of it. So besides the egoic or the normal embodied sense, we also have this inner personal and then this impersonal, which is truly transcendent. So in the early discourses of transpersonal psychology, I think you would hear the term transcendent, ego transcendent, or transcending the ego quite a bit. And there was probably not enough differentiation of, well, what is there beyond the ego transcendent level? If you transcend the ego, is there just one huge universe after that, or are there gradations? And I would think personally in my own work, I have come to find it helpful to think about two levels, which is again a different way of talking about what I just said. One is psychocentric, which means the soul-centered world, and the other one is a cosmocentric. So egocentric, psychocentric, and cosmocentric. Now,